Hi everyone. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. If you love traveling or even just following what's happening around the world, then you might have noticed something unusual. The reputation of American travelers isn't what it used to be. Now, I'm not saying Americans are universally disliked. Not at all. But recently, more and more countries, airlines, and even locals in tourist hotspots have started showing hesitation, extra scrutiny, and sometimes even outright frustration toward visitors from the United States. So, in today's video, let's talk honestly about why this shift is happening. I'll walk you through some of the biggest reasons the world is starting to turn away from American travelers, and what it means for the future of international tourism. Let's dive in. Reason number 1. The strong dollar isn't always good news. On the surface, the US dollar being strong should make travel easier for Americans. It gives them more purchasing power abroad. But here's the catch. For locals in tourist-heavy countries, it often feels like Americans can buy up everything, driving up local prices. Think about it. When a family in Mexico City is struggling to pay rent, and suddenly rents rise because landlords realize Americans on vacation can afford to pay double, resentment builds. You can see the same story in Lisbon, Athens, and even Bangkok. Locals don't always say it out loud, but the feeling spreads. American tourists are unintentionally pricing them out of their own neighborhoods. That's why you'll notice more protests against mass tourism in places where US visitors make up a huge percentage. Reason number 2. Over-tourism and behavior perceptions. Let's be honest here, not every American traveler behaves badly, but stereotypes stick. From being loud in quiet European towns to ignoring cultural etiquette in Asia, even a small group of tourists can leave a strong impression. Social media has only made this worse. A video of one traveler acting disrespectfully at a sacred temple can go viral. And suddenly, the entire group of American tourists gets painted with the same brush. Countries like Japan, Italy, and Thailand have started putting up more restrictions on tourist behavior, partly because of repeated complaints from locals about visitors, with Americans often being singled out. Reason number 3. Politics and visa restrictions. Here's a big one people don't always think about. Political tensions spill over into tourism. For example, when the US government imposes stricter visa policies on certain countries, those countries often respond with restrictions of their own. That means American travelers face longer visa wait times, more paperwork, and sometimes even outright bans. Take South America. Countries like Brazil have reinstated visa requirements for US citizens after years of visa-free travel. In Europe, starting soon, Americans will need to apply for ESHA's approval before entering the Schengen zone, something they've never had to do before. So while politics might seem far away, they have a direct effect on how welcoming other nations are to US tourists. Reason number 4. Rising costs and tourist taxes. Have you noticed how more cities are adding tourist taxes lately? Barcelona, Venice, Bali, and even New Zealand have started charging extra fees specifically aimed at foreign visitors. While this applies to all tourists, Americans often feel it the most because they travel in larger numbers and spend more per trip. But locals see these extra taxes as a way to control the American presence, a polite way of saying, "We need fewer of you, not more." And when flights, hotels, and even meals are already expensive, these extra costs make international travel feel less friendly and more like a burden. Reason number 5. Security and airport scrutiny. This one is subtle, but ask any frequent flyer and they'll tell you. Americans are being screened more closely at airports worldwide. It's partly due to fraud concerns, partly due to security policies, but also because of strained diplomatic relations. Countries are simply more cautious. You'll notice stricter baggage checks, longer immigration interviews, and sometimes even random secondary screenings. Now, for many travelers, this feels like a humiliation. But for governments, it's about control. Unfortunately, Americans often end up at the center of this tightening net. Reason number 6. Cultural gaps that never closed. Here's something deeper. Many locals feel that American tourists don't try to engage with local culture enough. For example, in Paris, waiters complain that tourists expect English menus and don't try a single French phrase. In Tokyo, locals whisper that tourists don't respect traditions like quiet train rides. In rural Spain, older generations feel ignored when visitors only care about Instagram spots. Now, not all Americans are like this. Far from it. But the perception exists, and in tourism, perception is reality. When countries feel their traditions are being watered down or ignored, they naturally push back against the largest group of visitors they see. Often, Americans. Reason number 7. Global alternatives are growing. And here's a twist. Some countries don't need American tourists like they used to. In the past, U.S. travelers made up such a large share of global tourism revenue that countries bent over backward to keep them happy. But today, Chinese, Indian, and Middle Eastern travelers are traveling in record numbers and spending big. That means destinations like Thailand or Greece don't have to rely as heavily on American dollars. With more diverse sources of income, they can afford to set stricter rules, raise prices, or even discourage certain behaviors without fearing economic collapse. It's not about rejecting Americans outright, but it's definitely about balance, and the balance is shifting. My final thoughts. So when you put all of this together, the strong dollar, over-tourism, political tensions, rising costs, security checks, cultural differences, and the rise of new tourist groups, you start to see the bigger picture. It's not that the world hates American travelers. Far from it. But the unquestioned red carpet treatment is slowly disappearing. Countries are being more selective, more cautious, and sometimes even more critical of who they welcome. And here's the silver lining. Americans who travel thoughtfully, respectfully, and with genuine interest in other cultures are still warmly welcomed almost everywhere. The difference is that now, the effort matters more than ever before. So what do you think? Have you noticed these changes when you travel? Do you feel like Americans are being treated differently compared to a few years ago? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more global travel insights. Thanks for watching, and until next time, safe travel.